Perfect. Hi, I'm Erin from Fangirlish.
Hey,
Hi,
Aaron.
Erin.
I have interviewed a lot of people in my life, but I'm so nervous right now because I absolutely love Hallmark movies, but I love you guys so much. Like I'm
Oh,
like shaking and my friends are kind of laughing at me that I'm so nervous, but I just want to say what an honor it is to interview you both.
That is
Um,
so kind,
we're just as
Erin.
nervous,
Thank
Aaron.
you for saying that. That is so sweet.
Yeah,
And
very
thanks for
sweet.
the love. That means a lot.
It honestly, I found Hallmark movies at the beginning of the pandemic, when I had to spend my first Christmas alone. And
Oh,
that's where I became introduced to Countdown to Christmas and the movies. And they've made such a big impact on me. Because they've gotten me through so much. Like I am
yeah.
immunocompromised. I wasn't able to travel a lot, wasn't able to go home. So you guys have kind of been like my Christmas family. And so I want to
Oh,
know,
that's
like,
great.
yeah, you guys, honestly, it means a lot. Like, I want to know why you guys continue to do them. What do they mean to you guys?
Oh, well,
I mean,
I
that's a
mean,
low. That's
honestly, it's so, I've told this story before, but the way that I got involved in Hallmark movies, and Brennan has done probably twice as many as I have, and he's been with Hallmark longer. Um, my grandmother, I was on a TV show at the time called Awkward, and my grandmother was like, I just want you to do a real nice, just Hallmark Christmas movie and stop doing all this crazy stuff that nobody can watch. And so I, always want to make my grandmother happy. And so my agent called, and sure enough, a Hallmark movie came through, and that was my very first one. And I went home to my small town of Blackshear for that Christmas. And the reaction that I received from my hometown people who I'd known my entire life, who've watched me in everything that I've done since I was a child, right? The reaction was so warm, the joy that came out of them. And I thought, whoa, I've never been a part of something that makes people feel this way, ever. Like, of course, I've been on shows that people love, but they've never, this feeling is something that I've never been on the receiving end of. So I went back to LA and I told my reps, I said, I wanna do more Hallmark movies. I wanna be a part of making people feel this way. And I will say, look, when we're making them, they're really hard. I mean, they're 17-hour days consecutively at times, but
shooting 2 weeks.
yeah,
Well,
you
15
shoot
days.
so fast. But I will
Wow.
say the experience of doing them is like the movie itself. Everyone you get to work with, there's something about the way that they cast and the people they pull in.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing. You get such great humans that you get to work with. There's such a good atmosphere of positivity and love as you make them. But I think the most important thing is when you get to interact with people who watch the movies and they've seen something of yours, whether it's a Christmas convention or now with you, Erin, and you get to talk about what they mean to you. And I don't know, I became a storyteller because I wanted to make people feel the way that movies made me feel. So when you know that you can be a part of something that brings joy to somebody's life, oh, I want to do that forever, right?
I mean, we had a dinner engagement party last night when we all came in for this.
That
for
was
this
so
weekend.
fun.
And it was so much fun. And I was talking to one of the execs in social media. Her name was Angela, a lovely lady. And she said, why do you keep making these movies? I said, you get into acting, you want to win an Oscar, you want to win all these awards. The greatest reward that I've ever had is doing a movie. And I'll sometimes reach out to people that are either less fortunate or in the hospitals or going through certain kinds of cancer treatment. And there was a lady, and she was outside of San Diego, and I drove to see her. And she was a fan of Hallmark and movies, but I didn't really know how rabid of a fan she was. And I got in there, and she was very sick, and she didn't have long she was going to pass on. And she said to me, and I quote, and this is not, I'm not even embellishing at all. She says, everybody out of the room, I just want the young man and I. She was in her 80s, and she was such a spunky lady. And she said, they think that the chemo is saving me, but it's the Hallmark movies that's saving me. And I quote unquote, and I literally,
Cry.
Aaron bawled like a
Cried.
baby, and I went,
I'm
okay.
trying not to cry.
Oh, but I mean, I know that's a very dramatic kind of context, but
That's
people
so
really, like
beautiful.
when we go to these Christmas
Yeah.
cons and stuff, I mean, these people are literally not just fans of either the actor or actress, but they're fans of what Hallmark is doing through the content.
I met a woman just a couple of weekends ago who had 2 brain surgeries, and she was in the hospital for a very long time with the surgeries, and she said, I watched Hallmark all day long, every day while I was in the hospital, and you guys got me through it. You got me through it. And I just wanted to meet you and say thank you. And
It's
again,
the greatest reward.
Tears.
Yeah.
That is so much better than any Oscar or Emmy or any of that you could ever win. I mean, that's why we do this.
Yeah.
So that we can be a part of something that brings some peace or joy or comfort or whatever it is to somebody, especially when they're in their deepest valleys,
Yeah,
right?
and they want to escape the pain they're going through, or maybe they're feeling like my mom's got immunodeficiency disorder. She can't get COVID, and obviously, so she was stationed in her house, and so she would watch Hallmark, and sometimes it was the background while she's cooking, or sometimes she'd sit down and watch a movie or two, and it just made her feel good. And I know it sounds cliche sometimes, but it makes me feel, when I drove back from meeting that lady, I remember just saying, I've made it. I've done whatever the universe is giving me, whatever little talent I have,
I did it.
somebody was affected. And that's the greatest feeling. And so I never get tired of hearing it, which is why I continue to do them.
Same.
I mean, I'll be very honest with you. I got some bad news a few weeks ago, and it was the day that Merry Go Round just premiered. And I watched it that night, and after crying my eyes out the whole entire day, it made me feel better. And I just laughed, and I was like, okay, this gives me hope. And so you've been a big part of just my healing right now. I am in New York, and I could have been there at the event, but I just couldn't risk my health. And so just really do appreciate, but I should talk about your Christmas movie. Can you tell us a little bit about it, about The Gift of Peace?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you want to go
and also, Aaron, I'm really sorry that you got that news. Whatever it is, sending you lots of love, and I'll keep you in my prayers.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
I think this will be a movie you'll really enjoy too, Aaron.
Yeah.
Because it's about hope through grief and through
finding
pain.
joy in grief, finding hope in grief. So A Gift of Peace, it's a movie about essentially a group of people that come together in a grief support group, and they find hope and joy and healing through the sharing of their grief. And my character specifically is very resistant to joining this group, but after losing her husband 2 years ago, she is very much stuck. She can't move forward in any area of her life. She was an artist with her husband. That was their work and what they did. She can't pick up a paintbrush. She can't seem to put one foot in front of the other. And a good friend says, I know that there's a good grief support group, and maybe you should think about going. And so she goes, and
reluctantly.
But what she finds along the way is a community and people who are also going through the same thing. Whether they're at different stages of grief. Some people, 7 years into it. Others very recently. For Traci, it's 2. And all, grandparents, spouses, parent. Yeah. So everybody's dealing with a different version, which I think is such a beautiful thing, because grief never looks the same. Everybody moves through it in their own way. So part of being around others that are going through what you're going through and sharing those experiences is learning that everybody's looks different. I am okay right where I am, and I'm supported in that. And now I also have this group of people that are going to help me carry this, so I don't have to do it by myself. And I think that's one of many.
Like a family of like-minded strangers, which is really beautiful.
And I think it's one of the many lessons of this movie that I think people will really be able to relate to, a blueprint for, I guess you could say, for how to move through grief, and not do it in isolation, because I don't think as humans we're actually supposed to go through anything in isolation, despite what society tells us sometimes, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah, do you want to add something to that?
That point is my journey through what my wife's gone through, which is obviously no secret. But I thought I could handle it on my own for a long, long time, years. And I realized I needed to reach out to a support group.
Yeah.
And it was the hardest thing I had to do because maybe it's the male ego. I don't know what it was, but I was very, very worried of a stranger telling me how to go through what you don't understand. But these people aren't telling you, they're expressing their own journeys, and you feel connected to them, and you feel that you can open up and you can kind of go on a journey with these people. And I've never done a movie, and this is a true story, I've never done one movie that had so many messages, thematic echoes, things that I think people can take differently. You know, it's like an onion. There's so many layers in this movie, and I'm not trying to blow it up more than it is. It's a really special movie.
It is.
And everybody is going to go away with something that I think will bring hope. And that's the gift of peace. I mean, if you can find peace and hope and comfort and optimism for the future within your journey of pain,
that is a gift.
That itself is a gift. And to be a part of that movie, to work with someone who I consider a dear friend and a genius, and these people, was the hardest movie I've done, but it was the easiest in that it was, I knew what we were doing was special. So you're willing to, and you have people that were in craft service. You had somebody who was a dolly or a grip, and they were coming in, and they were obviously non-union, some of them, and they could have easily just phoned this in, but people really saw what was going on and went, wow, this isn't just a regular, 2-hour Christmas movie that, okay, we'll get all the fuzzies, all the fuzzy feelings. We're going to have that. There's lots of humor, there's family, there's love, but you're going to go through this movie and realize there is hope, There is hope.
I love that. My time is already up, but honestly, it has been
so fast.
I know, right? It's been such an honor talking to both of you, and I really can't wait for this movie and just to see what you guys do next. You guys are both very special, and you treat the world with special gloves and give so much of yourselves through your acting. So I just wanted to say that before I tied this up and said, have a good day.